Yeah,
Yeah,
we're live, Abby.
yeah.
Go live, go live.
And welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we'll talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our political and national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, President Tinubu wades into Wike-Military land tussle, and Makinde gains upper hand in battle for PDP as National Convention gets underway. In the course of the program, we take your questions, but first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. It's important to mention that we can only take or read comments with human names and the ones based on the subject matter. I have joining me via Zoom the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade Otutoju. Good to see you, BKO.
Yeah, good to see you, Ibrahim. Good to do this with you. And I say a big welcome to our esteemed viewers.
That's right. In the midst of the dramatic confrontation in Abuja's Gadua district, where FCT Minister Nyesom Wike clashed with Lieutenant A.M. Yerima and his naval unit over a fiercely disputed plot of land, leading to a viral standoff that highlighted tensions between civilian authority and military protocol. What do you make of President Bola Tinubu's swift intervention, reportedly ordering the removal of bulldozers and sliding with the armed forces to restore peace?
Yeah, the president wisely moved in to de-escalate the situation. Um, it does not mean that it will not permit investigations to continue. The president would want to be properly briefed before taking a decision on the matter. So right now, when tempers are still flaring, when clearly Nigerians are still displeased with the way the minister spoke to a citizen, it doesn't have to be a soldier to be spoken to with respect, with dignity. So no person in government has the right to call another person a fool, especially somebody who was doing a job assigned to him. Yes, we can argue that it is not the responsibility of the military to serve as uh, security operatives on a private, on a land matter that is not military related, because that's what this is. But at the same time, the former chief of naval staff, who owns that portion of the 31-hectare piece of land that was originally allocated for parks and garden. It's like a buffer zone facing the road. They ordinarily would not want to see residential structures spring up there, just a green area. But clearly, the former chief of naval staff was misled to buy that portion of land from a certain Mr. Santos, a certain company called Santos, which did not secure approval to build residential buildings, to put all residential buildings there. So I believe that the president, realizing that this matter has caused so much displeasure, so much anger, will be thinking of how to have it resolved rather than allow an escalation to happen, especially given some of the comments being made by some former service chiefs and all that. So those comments were thoroughly uncalled for, especially the statement made by Tuku Buratai that what happened constituted a threat to our country. That's absolute nonsense. There's no way that you could say what happened constituted a threat to our country. In a civilian dispensation such as we have, the military is expected to subordinate itself to civil authority. The military is expected to respect the laws of our country. No order given by a military officer can be superior to the Constitution. And if the Constitution says an individual is in charge of allocation of land and all that, no order given by a military officer can countermand that, because Wike, no matter his excesses, derives the power to supervise land matters, to take decisions over land matters from the Constitution, because ownership of land, administration of land matters is vested in governors. And as the FCT minister, is like a governor, and he has the power to administer land matters. I've read a lot of things that people are saying. There have been Supreme Court judgments that clearly stated that no order given by a military officer can be superior to the letters of our Constitution. It is important that people know this, because we need the armed forces to know their limits in our country, so that we can minimize excesses. People get beaten up by soldiers, sometimes even when they're on their rights. I've seen a naval rating kill someone in broad daylight. He brought out his service pistol and killed a civilian in broad daylight here in Lagos. So some of the people who are busy hailing the military and saying that when somebody insults a soldier, that person has insulted the armed forces, they are saying nonsense. If by the same token, you can also say that if we insult a journalist, then you've insulted all journalists in our country. We can also take it further to say if we insult a policeman, that you have insulted the entire police force. It does not work like that. There is no law that recognizes an insult to an individual soldier as an insult to the entire armed forces. I wonder where Nigerians get some of these claims that they make all over the place. One thing is certain: the president will not want to see an escalation, and I understand that the president has told the minister that he shouldn't have spoken in the way he spoke. I have complained a number of times about the minister of FCT. He opens his mouth and talks just anyhow. Here is a boy that he could easily give birth to. Your default reaction to not being allowed to enter the premises was simply to call the boy a fool. And the boy showed calmness in rejecting the piece of insult that came his way. And more people are now seeing that boy as a symbol of calmness in the face of provocation. I'm happy with Lieutenant Yerima. although I disagree that he should have been placed where they placed him. That facility should have been guarded by the police, not the military. We misuse the military too much in our country. We see soldiers guiding smugglers, across border towns. We see soldiers providing security for moneyless. We see even people who have bought piece of land getting soldiers to have the place surrounded so that some other people will not come and threaten them. For a country battling insecurity, for a country that has not defeated the Boko Haram insurgency, this is not how to use our armed forces. And a soldier detailed to guard a land that its ownership is in dispute is clearly not on lawful duty. It's clearly not on lawful duty. Let's talk a little bit about the land itself. I can understand the fact that many people are angry about the demolitions going on in our country. There has to be restraint. We shouldn't have as many demolitions as we are having in our country because it makes people's blood to boil. Recently, the FCT authorities pulled down 11 buildings owned by the police in the Apo area of Abuja because it was said that those buildings were constructed under high tension power lines. The question to ask is, did they get approval for this? Yes, there's a lot of corruption in the FCT administration, especially in land matters. But we can also not dismiss the fact that there's a lot of impunity. People are doing a lot of land grabbing. People are building without approval. People are distorting the FCT, what's it called of the FCT? People are distorting it. The way the whole the federal capital has been designed. People are building on drainage channels. People are putting buildings where buildings were not designated to be erected. So it's the master plan of the FCT that has been under siege because of the activities of not just some unscrupulous land grabbers, but the activities of some indecent people working within the FCT administration. So I can understand that there are issues around that. But in this case, let me also support what I said earlier with what Reverend Falana said. He said the officer violated the law by guarding private property while claiming to act on superior orders. Those orders were unlawful. He also made the point that civilian authority supersedes military authority military authority in a democracy. That's absolutely true. Unauthorized deployment of military resources to guard private land is a military overreach in a civilian setting. These are some of the comments that people are making as they weighed in on this matter. But generally, ministers are displeased. The Minister of State for Defense, who is statutorily mandated to supervise the Navy and the military institutions should have been consulted by Wike before going to that place. And instead of abusing that boy, he should have called his superiors to say, look, what is going on here? We are not happy with what's going on here. My people have been harassed. My people have been stopped from doing their work. Instead of simply abusing the boy and bringing ridicule to his position, to his stature as a
Right.
minister of the Federal Republic. So
That's right.
the FCT administration are saying that what they said was that this that when they were told to produce documents in respect of this land, that they produced an 18-year-old letter of intent from the Department of Park and Recreation. And the argument is that the letter of intent does not give legal rights of occupancy.
Mm.
Neither does it give approval to continue to construct structures on the parcel of land, and it does not also they did not also provide a detailed technical proposal, nor list of agreement given to them. They're saying that your plan has to be approved. They will look at your design approval and ensure that that design fits into the master plan before you can be given the right to continue to build. So if you bought a piece of land from someone who got an initial approval
Yeah.
to use the place as park and gardens, and the person decided to sell the place to you people with the intention of having you build houses there,
Mm.
you are not going to get an approval.
That's right.
To even start building after you paid for that piece of land, you need to get approval.
That's
That's
right.
why I'm saying our people do not like compliance, especially when people believe that they are strong, they are big, they don't like compliance. These are the things leading to this kind of disagreements. There have
Yeah.
also been complaints that powerful people, including people in the military, who grab land from other people and simply deploy the military or police, making it impossible for their victims to access that land. Nigerians have to be dispassionate in responding to all of these issues. And I'm happy
Yes.
that um, some lawyers have really hit the nail on the head that, yes, Wike has his issues. He has his issues. Was he responsible to abuse the boy in the way he did? He has
That's
to
right.
show
Because
decorum every time he goes out. He has to show decorum. He has to respect people. He has to talk to people with respect. He has
that's
no
right.
right to abuse any citizen of our country in the way that he did to that boy. But the fact remains that he had power over land matters.
All right,
But he
BQ.
also has to, yes, but he also has to show fairness even in the exercise of his powers. And from my findings on this piece of land, the former chief of naval staff had not done the right thing. He should have secured the approval of the FCT authorities before proceeding to build. And if they step forward and told you that, look, you are not supposed to build here, you have no right to use the armed forces to intimidate them, they are just doing their work. I was told that a director was beaten and severely injured in this same Abuja because they went to attempt to stop um, a building project that was being carried out. No, you have to allow people to do their work
That's right. That's
without
right.
being intimidated by the military.
That's right. Um, let me take some comment very quickly because of our time. Vigo Chima says, how can the military be in subordination to subordinate rather to the civilian leader because we are not in military regime? Not to talk of, okay, he's saying that how can military be made subservient or how can military disrespect the civilian leader because we are not in the military regime, not to talk of a retired officer using army to protect his land, humiliating a governor and minister. Adams Mohammed says, sir, there are decorums expected from public servants and military officers representing Nigeria and Nigerians at large. Kehinde Adedeji says, I'm sorry, I'm disappointed with BKO for not seeing the threat of these incidents just weeks after a coup where remnants still remain in the force. We are still in a fragile time. Okay, he's looking at it from from a broader
So
perspective.
we will now be frightened. We will be frightened because we heard that some people were planning a coup. So civilian authority will not. They won't do their work. They will
Their
be
work.
afraid of the military. The military is not superior to civilians. Let's
Yeah.
banish that. That somebody is wearing a uniform does not make him superior to you. Yes, we have the years of military rule, does not make us inferior to the soldier. Come on, let's so because we heard that there's a coup, then they will be afraid to do their work. You can blame Wike for being irresponsible in the way he spoke, but they
Yeah.
did nothing wrong by going to that place. They did nothing wrong.
Mm, that's right.
Why? Okay, since this whole thing began, why have they not provided the building approval that they got? The key
That's right.
documents that they needed, they don't have it. Let's not be supporting people blindly.
All right, okay. Nelson Adufe says, I agree that Wike shouldn't have overreacted and used abusive languages in insulting him. I detest the fact that majority of Nigerian properties have been hijacked by several people in high places. Larry Don Corporation says, Kehinde Adedeji, should we be at the mercy of the military in a civilian regime? Is that how to build a structure for effective leadership? BKO and all meaningful Nigerians have rebuked Wike. Kehinde Adedeji, I think I've taken that. They are responding to themselves. Kingsley Obiah says, breaking news. By saying on Wike, 10 others expelled from PDP. Oh, okay, we'll get there. I don't understand what you're talking about. Okay, so that's about it for this. Let's change tact by looking at our second topic because of our time.
Yes,
Uh, looking at a PDP national convention, kicking off today at Ibadan, Lekon, Salami Stadium, amid factional infighting, conflicting court orders from Justices Lifu and Ekwo, and Saraki's bid to suspend it for a caretaker committee, while 3,000 delegates ignore Wike's boycott. So, there is rallied by PDP state chairman behind Oyo, Governor Makinde, who has an ambition for 2027 presidential, race. Has Makinde gained that upper hand in this PDP battle, setting up a revitalized opposition for Nigeria's 2027 elections?
okay. Events in the coming days will show how much gains he has made. One thing you have to give to him is that the attempt to force the convention of the party to not happen has been defeated.
Mm.
In a democracy such as ours, we need a vibrant opposition. I wanted the PDP to hold their convention. They had tried in the past even to hold neck meeting, they couldn't. But later on, they said, okay, we are going to have our convention, and they fixed the date. The moment the date was fixed, some elements within the party started taking steps to make sure that that convention didn't hold. 3 different court cases. One by Sule Lamido, who felt that the party leadership shouldn't have stopped him from contesting for the chairmanship. He decided, against expectation, somebody who had been in the party from inception, he was a foundation member of the party. He decided to take the party to court. And the Justice Lifu, Peter Lifu, granted his prayer that the convention should not hold until the substantive matter is decided. Just yesterday, the judge ordered that they should not hold the convention unless Sule Lamido, the 77-year-old former governor of Jigawa State, was on the ballot for chairmanship.
That's right.
In the case of the second, there's a second court case involving Wike's loyalists in the leadership of the party. That is, those are people like, I'm talking about people like Anyanwu, Samuel Anyanwu, the secretary of the party, the organizing secretary, and the legal advisor, the national legal advisor. They went to court. They got the court to stop the convention. That is Justice Omotosho. Justice Omotosho took his decision citing disobedience to the Electoral Act and the Constitution of the PDP. The judge said that the judge agreed with the complainants that the party did not give INEC the statutory notice of the intention to hold that convention. At least the number of days stipulated was not met. They also argued that the secretary did not sign the notice calling for convention. The judge stopped the convention from holding. Then the final case was the one instituted by Governor Makinde, the BOT members who are on his side, and a good number of NWC members of the party who are on the side of the governor. The judge, Justice Akintola, extended his order permitting Makinde and co. to have this convention in Ibadan. So I think they are supposed to be back in court on Tuesday. So by kicking the can down the road, the judge technically permitted the convention to take place. You see, my argument, Ibrahim, is with these courts being courts of concurrent jurisdiction, it will take a superior court to give an order that will countermand all of the judgments earlier given. So for now, it's like a stalemate. We will still need a superior court to step in. But what has happened is the desperate attempt to stop the convention of the party from happening has failed. Now, what happens after the convention? What would they do? The party still needs to do a lot of reconciliation. Without that, the convention evidently will have been a farce, it will have been a waste of time. And we have people like Saraki who wanted more time so that they can reach aggrieved persons. They didn't want the convention to take place. I can understand why Saraki didn't want the convention to take place. He felt that it would have made sense to reach out and try and get more aggrieved party members on their side before going to do this convention. The convention in which some of their sitting governors stayed away, how much impact will that convention have in the grand scheme of things? The party has been so decimated that the crisis in it has made it extremely difficult for it to be electable. in the coming days. Then the absence of the INEC at this convention also potentially renders what they have done a nullity, except the court will pronounce that with or without the presence of INEC, that what transpired at the convention uh, was valid. So these are the issues. Makinde and others want a situation in which they can bring in Saminu Turaki to lead the party. That would be a good decision because Saminu Turaki would then be seen as a new broom, as a new broom, because it will be a clear departure from the past, a clear departure from Damagum, a clear departure from the leaders that they had in the past. So, in my view, this could be a good step. But even Sule Lamido was complaining that they didn't want him to contest. He has himself to blame. Sule Lamido went, he attended the meeting of the ADC, the meeting of the coalition. At the time when the PDP said they were not going to join the coalition, that they believe that they are strong enough to win elections on their own. So how do they then trust you? How do they trust you as a leader if you went against the decision of the party to not join the coalition? And you were saying you were photographed with them. So they do not trust him anymore. I can hardly blame the leadership of the party for the decision they took about Sule Lamido, because he had no business as a loyal party man attending the meeting of the ADC when the party already announced that it was not going to be part of the coalition, that it fancied its chances of winning the election, winning elections the way it was. So this is the situation that um, um, the PDP is in. It's a 2-day elective convention. Events will still unfold tomorrow, but Makinde has lighted a candle against the Wikes of this world, who desperately did not want the PDP to have a convention.
Right. Let me see one or two comments here. We have Sheriff Shoeton. Let's agree with what you said. Should Wike have turned up the way he did and conducted himself that way? Simply put, okay, I think he's still reacting to the old one. Sheriff Shoeton says no. Adebanjo says two governors were absent at the convention. Oluwole okay says PDP is not having a convention today. Makinde and the others, other jokers, are stylishly organizing a second birthday party for Fayoshe. INEC is absent and you think you're having a convention. We shall see. Femi Adeyemi says, okay, I don't think that's for us. Let me also look at this comment. Funsho Latunji says, if PDP is serious about 2027, the Makinde is the energy they need. The old guard has run out of ideas. Helen Nwanfo says, excuse me, Makinde controlling the convention is not the same as unity. If Wike's camp feels cheated, this party will scatter again. Watch. Okay, Tola Adeyeye says this convention should decide whether PDP is going to be a serious national party or just a WhatsApp group for disgruntled politicians. People and their mouth. So BK, very quickly, because of our time. Now, I made the PDP National Conventions of holding drama in Ibadan today, where supporters wave banners for Goodluck Jonathan and Bala Mohammed as 2027 presidential and VP hopefuls. And then we have loyalists flooding the venue. Flooding the venue, tipping Mohammed as a key figure and absentees like Saraki opt for Ayo Fayoshe's birthday bash instead. As this early joking for power unified that fractured party or exposed its vulnerabilities to rivals like the APC? Very quickly, BK.
No, what is happening is many people are distraught. They are disconsolate about the way things are going in the PDP. Many people have one leg in and one leg out. One of his governors, Abu Kefas, will be defecting to the APC on the 19th of this month. And it's possible that one or two more governors would join him on a later date. So if people like Bukola Saraki are staying away, it's because he offered the suggestion. He was made chairman of the reconciliation committee, but he didn't achieve much. And then he suggested, let us put this convention aside first. Let's try and resolve things. You know, I'm surprised that they couldn't convince someone like Sule Lamido, a die-hard PDP person, an extremely fiercely loyal PDP person. I'm surprised that they couldn't convince him to drop that court case. You can accuse Wike of all kinds of things against this party, but with Sule Lamido also playing a big part in getting the courts to stop the convention of the party. You cannot blame Wike alone. At least Sule Lamido does not belong to any faction. He was just fighting for justice on his own. And what would they have lost if they allowed him to take part in the convention? You can allow him to take part and stop him from winning. You use your clout to stop him from winning. So I think that it wasn't really an excellent decision to stop a fiercely loyal party man like Sule Lamido from contesting. You could complain about the fact that you saw him at the ADC meeting. You can trash out such an issue. But the deed has been done, and the center can no longer hold for the PDP. The way it is fragmented, is fractured, and it is in a very weak state, making it extremely difficult for it to be electable in future elections.
Interesting stuff. I think it's about time we call it a wrap. Well, let me see these comments. Eric Odiase says both Makinde and Wike are smart, but Nigeria needs an opposition that thinks beyond personality cults. Where is the ideology? Where is the policy vision? Collins Obara says, say whatever you like. Wike was the muscle that kept PDP alive during the 2023 storm. Freezing him out would be political suicide. Adekunle Wolabi says, let's be guided. Power struggles don't win elections. Unity does. All right. Because of our time, Biko, I think it's time for us to call it a wrap. That's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Babajide Kolade Ututoji, for those insightful analyses, as always.
Thank you, Ibrahim. The coming days will show to us whether this convention is a farce, it's a non-event, or something that will really define the immediate future of the party.
All right. Yeah, thanks to you, to our audience, for keeping our company on every edition. You can see the program anytime again by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim_Shita. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.
Yeah.